I'm talking about how I use plant medicine to kickstart my rebirth. Hit the like button and let's get started. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. So, my rebirth started with surrender. And for me, surrender meant sitting with plant medicine. I have been hearing a lot about plant medicine. I have been reading and studying a lot about plant medicine. And it is something that is being studied more in psychiatry spaces. And because I work in psychiatry, I have been learning more about plant medicine. And so being able to get that insight made me realize this is where I want to sit. This is what I want to sit with to help me with rebirthing myself and dying to something. And so that brings me to what rebirth means for me. So, rebirth does mean having a culmination of experiences that cause you to divert to another direction, to be reborn. And you can be reborn from an experience, reborn to a version of yourself. You can be reborn to the way you live your life, your meaning of life, the way you see the meaning of life. Like there's so many ways that rebirth can happen, but rebirth for me was really about how I was being in life toward myself and in how I was engaging with other people. So that was a big part of my rebirth. And I've done a few plant medicine ceremonies. But the very first ceremony that I engaged with was with mushrooms. And I was connected with this person in a very serendipitous way, which helps me to also connect with it more, connect with that experience more. And so the first experience I had sat with mushrooms. And what brought me to want to do this in the first place, that specific experience, really is because I thought that with all of the despair I had in terms of how I wanted to be in the world, I had a lot of anxiety with myself and my own self perception, and also how I was engaging with other people. And when I had this experience, I was really feeling a lot of despair. It was very hard. And I knew that I wanted to be doing things in life that were going to require me to no longer see myself in this negative way and these negative thoughts that I was having, that was really going to, I knew that would hinder me from doing the things I wanted to do. Let me know if you understand that. If you want to do bigger things in your life, but you just don't believe that you can do it, and you see patterns of yourself, though you might not know how to release the patterns, you know those patterns aren't helpful for you. So this was me. I knew that. And so honestly, when I first sat with plant medicine, even though I had read a lot of literature, what I was hoping is that I would sit with the plant medicine, and when I came home from that experience, that I would be transformed, and all of these experiences that I had and struggles I had would completely be gone. So there was a part of me, though I read and studied that that's not necessarily how plant medicine works. I was hoping that was how plant medicine works. So that was what inspired me. So, ultimately, I wanted to deal with a lot of deep rooted pain that I had. So, I had this initial experience, and I'm going to tell you what I actually did experience, because it wasn't, I came home and everything was transformed. It wasn't that. But I will say it helped to loosen like this stagnant energy, to get it moving, like this stuck energy, this place where I was stuck emotionally and spiritually. It helped to loosen that so I could start gaining traction and moving out of that. But what I really experienced in this first sit that I had with plant medicine, I did go into the experience with intentions, because this is something that I learned was important, is to have some intentions, not completely rigid intentions, but just have some loose expectation. And this is why I say that I the understanding I had was not to go into this with no thought of why you were doing it. Um, it's important to understand what is it that you're wanting to work with, or what is it that your goal is in anything. It's important to understand why you're doing something. So there's that element. But on the other end of that was not being so rigid, because this medicine may be helping you to learn something that you didn't know you needed. So it's like this balance of the two. So I did come in with some awareness, and probably was a little bit rigid because I wanted to work on, in my mind, I kept saying I wanted to work on my throat chakra. I wanted to be able to speak more. I wanted to be able to be confident in speaking and say what I feel and all of these things. So when I did the retreat and when I did the plant medicine, I definitely saw where my throat chakra was activated, because throughout the course of this experience, I could not stop talking. I mean, I was trying to stop. Well, I'm not gonna say I was trying to stop talking, but I just couldn't stop. I was excessively talking. But what also I recognized is a lot of there are three main things I could say that I experienced, though there are many more. But three things that stand out for me is that what I had intentions with, I did have some of that experience. As I mentioned, I wanted to work on my throat chakra with speaking, and in that experience, I was speaking so much. I was over speaking and speaking and speaking. And so that was one. The second thing that I recognized is that some of the thoughts that I had about myself beforehand, these thoughts that I was not good enough, these thoughts that, really came from outside perceptions of me early on in life, those things were continuing to shape how I moved in the world. Even though I wanted to see myself larger, I allowed a lot of those old perceptions to still be a big defining uh, part of who I even saw myself as being, and being concerned that other people would see me that way. So, is that something that you experience, that a lot of what you're experiencing comes from how other people or other experiences had defined you early on? Because that's not uncommon. But what I recognized is one of the things is that it was so laughable. It was so laughable that I would see myself in these lower states. And I know that that is because spiritually, and my spirit, all of our spirit, is so much bigger than who we are in this human experience. And to know who I am spiritually would make it laughable to see myself as anything lower. It's so laughable. And really, what that taught me is that you are about to start this process of remembering who you are, and that who you are is so much greater than what anyone could have defined me as being. Um, that 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 essence of who you really are is so much bigger than somebody else's limited view of who you are, someone's limited defining of who you are. And that we ironically go and down in life and start to live by that definition. It is laughable to our spirit, because our spirit is something that we can't fathom. It is bigger than any pain we've experienced. It is bigger than any letdown. It is, if we were to do the comparison, there would be no comparison, because our spirit knows that this is doesn't touch the greatness of who we are, whatever we're doing. But in this life, it is for us to become in a remembrance and to remember who we are. And it's fun to allow the spirit to come in and start to imbue your physical vessel and begin to express it, to allow it to come through and start expressing, even through this hurt vessel that you're living in, that you can start to expand and grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger beyond anything that you could have ever imagined. That was the second thing that I got from this experience, this initial experience sitting with plant medicine. And third was, that everything really is beautiful. Everything that I've experienced, it really is beautiful. And I know that that's hard for some people to grapple with and hear, because many of us have had physical experiences or experiences in this life that have definitely not felt beautiful. But what I got from this is that everything is working together for a bigger picture. It's like we're seeing the story be written. But at the end, when we're able to read the book, we'll see the triumph and the beauty from all of it. And that was really powerful for me to understand. And I'm just really getting that complete understanding as I'm speaking it, is that I knew I kept saying that everything is so beautiful. And even the things that were so hurtful were actually beautiful because there's a bigger meaning to the experience than what we are experiencing just physically in that moment. And that there is a bigger hand at play, and if we could see the finished product, which many people I think do see a bigger um, expression or lesson, even when they're at the end of their life, to really think back on all the things and see a different meaning or see things differently. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, if you had a loved one who was passing and you all may have had some challenges throughout life, but then in that moment, it's like those things didn't matter as much anymore as something else. Everyone's experience is different, but this has been my experience with some people who have transitioned and passed on in my life. So, those were the points that I received, and so that was powerful for me. That really is something that I still learn from now. So that brings me to my other point, is that what I've also come to recognize in that sitting is that plant medicine can be teaching you for the rest of your life from one experience. Even though I've had more than one experience with a different plant, I've sat with a different plant outside of the mushroom. I still learn from the mushroom experience now. It's still teaching me, it's still reminding me at times when I feel apprehensive or I feel unsure. That laughable moment about remembering who you are, it's so expansive. You don't even have an idea of who you are in totality yet. You're unfolding into that. So to be surrendered to that, and as opposed to surrendering to old definitions of who I believed I was, or old definitions of what someone else projected onto me, that I can surrender to this larger truth of who I am unfolding and becoming, because it's there. It's just in this life, I'm remembering it and opening up to it more and more. That's something that I would want to leave with you, is you may be someone who's experienced a lot of difficulty, and there's this part of you that wants to have a bigger experience, and that spirit wants you to be open to the bigger experience from those hurtful things that have kind of kept you defined and stuck in that. That little inkling in you that wants to see yourself larger or feels that you deserve better is spirit helping you to surrender to that. We can surrender to that, or we can surrender to status quo. I'm just going to be who I've always been. I'm just going to abide to how other people see me. I'm just going to submit to someone else's projections of pain onto me, as opposed to I am going to submit to an expansive unfolding of greatness that is going to heal all of the experiences that I could have thought, because our spirit is bigger than any pain that we could have experienced in this life. And so with that, the last thing that I want to express that plant medicine has given me was an immense amount of gratitude, because it's helped me to also have peace. Peace meaning that I, have a level of forgiveness even for the people who have hurt me, because I'm not allowing myself to stay stuck in their behaviors anymore. I am having gratitude to understand that everything has the ability to teach me, and everything has the ability to allow me to actually grow from it. I don't have to stay stuck from it. I can grow from it. So there's a gratitude for me and peace, to see that even the most difficult people are my greatest teachers. It's also given me the ability to die to self, or some people will call it an ego death, but die to self. That means that I'm more than this physical vessel. That's the ego, like who I am in this experience, a Black woman, a mother, a sister, a daughter, all the things, all the negative definitions of me, all of them, to not get so stuck in that that I cannot connect with who I am beyond this. So that ego death is important. Ego isn't bad. Ego allows me to have this experience through this view of a Black woman, all the things. But then when it's time to connect with spirit, there's this understanding that I do have to die to that to some degree so that I can get connected with the larger sense. And so that is what I'm leaving with you today. Let me know in the comments, what part of you are you dying to today? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and share this with someone who you think could benefit as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.